I'm your host for Banners and Titles, Alejandro Garcia. I will give a little PSA before this episode kicks off. I've been dealing with food poisoning for like the past 4 days, so I apologize if my voice sounds a little under the weather. Uh, Make sure your food is fully cooked before you eat it. Um, I haven't really felt the best, but the show must go on, so today I felt like I would take it a little easy and talk about something that was easy for me to talk about. I feel like I've been sensing a lot of like this need of professionalism that I need to display, and I kind of take a step back throughout the past week and realized that this podcast is supposed to be something fun. It's supposed to be something constructive, so there's going to be episodes where I maybe need to be a little bit more serious, maybe need to be a little bit more on the statistical side. But, there's also going to be episodes where there's going to be times to have fun and just talk. Some people just need to say stuff and have someone else hear it. So this episode, I'm going to be talking about my experiences as a fan, and basically the games that I've gone to. It's funny because as much as I love sports, and I've kind of I wouldn't say centered my life around it, but it is a very big part of my life. I follow it religiously almost, and it's just sports just is something that I'm so very passionate about. It's funny that I've actually only ever gone to 2 games, and only one of those two was in the past 3 years. So I'm going to be talking about those games, and I'm going to be talking about future games that I would like to go to, because there's a lot of big sporting events coming to North America soon, which is really exciting because there isn't really a lot of hype around North America getting these big venues to host like international tournaments. But we do have the World Cup coming in 2026, which is very exciting because there's a lot of venues here in Texas that are going to be hosts to some of those games. So I'm going to be talking about that a little bit. But yeah, first off is taking that first step as a fan to kind of make that, I will say, investment, because it is a lot of money. That first step is just planning out when you want to go to a game. When you're living in a city that already has a sports team, it's a lot easier. But if you were living somewhere kind of smaller, like say Shirts, and you were a Dallas Maverick fan, it would be a little harder for you to try and plan out your trip, because you are going to be taking a trip. And oftentimes, tickets aren't cheap, and neither is the road to get there. So I'm going to be talking about the time that I went to a playoff game, which was this past season, and it was a Dallas Mavericks versus Los Angeles Clippers game. It was an NBA game. I believe it was, I want to say it was game 4 of a best of 7 series. So it was a home game. It was the atmosphere was electric. I'm gonna put in some pictures here, just so you can see. But basically, it was a really big thinking point for me, because when you get to our age, there is just a lot of outside influences that kind of hinder you being able to spend money on your own leisure, and take these trips away from home, away from work. And there's a lot of financial stuff that you have to think about, because it was a long drive, and I drove myself along with my friends. There was 4 of us, and to Dallas it's about a 4.5 hour drive if you're driving moderately over the speed limit. But yeah, so there was there was a really big want factor in it because one of my close friends is a very strong Clippers fan, which is funny because he lives in San Antonio. We always knock him for it. He's always he's a California native, so it makes sense as to why he supports California teams, and we always try to get him to support the Spurs or get him to support a Texas team like the Cowboys. But he's a diehard California fan. He loves the Dodgers, loves the Clippers, so you gotta respect that, especially as a fan, because it's about staying true to your roots. Um, but yeah, we talked about it for weeks, almost months, because we knew it was coming up as soon as the regular season ended, with the Clippers being able to clinch the fourth seed and the Mavericks clinching the fifth, I believe. Um, so it was very, very talked about in my friend group as to whether or not we were going to go to the game. The tickets, I mean, for the nosebleeds, and when I say nosebleeds, I mean we were like almost at the very, very top. They were like $200 each, and then you got to think about gas. You have to think about where you're gonna stay, because oftentimes when you're taking a trip like that, that's more than 2 hours. You don't really want to make a single day trip because the games are usually hosted later in the evening. I believe that game had started at around, I would want to say it was like 7. Um, so the day before we started the drive, we started the drive, and we left San Antonio at about 4:30, which was already about like 2 hours behind schedule. But that's as things go when you're traveling anywhere with friends. Stuff is gonna get pushed back, but yeah, we drove. Filling up the tank was another financial thing. And then the drive itself was relatively easy. It was really fun just being in the car with your friends for 4 hours. We didn't really have to make any stops, so that was good. And then once we got to Dallas, we kind of just got to our hotel, got situated, and then we took a drive around downtown. It was my first time in Dallas. The closest I'd ever previously been was Arlington, and as much as I would love to say that it was for a Cowboys game, it unfortunately was not. That is something that I also want to be able to do soon, is go to a Cowboys game because I love the Cowboys. But yeah, we got to Dallas. We drove around downtown. There was a lot of Maverick memorabilia, Cowboy memorabilia. There was a lot of fans walking the streets, looking pumped for the game, which was going to be the next day. And it was fun. I had never really experienced being in a playoff atmosphere before, so there was that really strong rush of emotion that was kicking in, and I was hyped. I was really excited, and that night we hardly got any sleep because we kept talking about how many points is this gonna drop, how many points is blah 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 gonna drop, and it was the night before was a very, very fun experience, just because it's always like when you're in a new city and you're starting to experience things that you've never experienced before, and kind of taking that leap once you've been so strung up on work and school that like you start to realize that you're living life and you're having fun, you're taking those chances that you should be taking while you're young, because as you get older, it's going to be less and less likely that you're going to have more free time. So I'm definitely grateful that we did. And then the day of the game, we woke up, we got burgers because we needed to eat something that was going to fill us up, because we knew that going into the game, we weren't going to want to go to concessions. We weren't going to want to take a lot of restroom breaks. So we had gone to this burger place. It was like top 5 burgers I've ever had in my life. It was amazing. And just talking about food right now, is making me super hungry. But we had gone to the burger place, we ate, and from there we wanted to get parking about 2 hours ahead of the game schedule. So we got to the parking lot at 5. The game didn't start till 7, and so we spent our time walking around the front of American Airlines Center, which is the home of the Dallas Mavericks. It kind of has this like, it's almost like you're walking into like a little shopping strip. Well, it is a shopping strip. So there's like shops on one side, there's shops on the other side, and the middle there's like the walkway that's leading you up to like the American Airlines Center entrance, or one of the main entrance. And then at the very foot like of the stairs, where it's like the street level, and the sidewalk of the street, there's the stairs, and at the corner of those stairs there's the Dirk Nowitzki statue, and then there is a Dallas Stars hockey player statue. I can't remember his name, but I got to see that, which was really really fun, and it was like surreal because you could tell that it was definitely some other people's first times being there at the game, because they were taking pictures with the Dirk statue, who's a Dallas legend. If you don't know, Dirk Nowitzki, he was drafted into Dallas. He stayed with Dallas his whole career. He got a chip, arguably one of the hardest chips that could have been won by a single player, because he didn't really have a lot of help. It was really just him as the superstar in that team. And when you think of championship teams, you think of a lot of assets. But with Dirk, he really didn't have that much help, and he was battling through sickness throughout the series that he was playing. So it's a very very respectable ring. I remember watching that championship, and Dirk's a legend. The passing of the torch was definitely Luka Doncic. So being able to see him for the first time as well, Luka Doncic, was exciting because he's one of my favorite players in the league. And then, obviously, as I stated before, my friend is a great Clippers fan. He loves Kawhi, loves Paul George, James Harden. The three of them were still on the team together. I say that because Paul George recently got traded to the 76ers. But, yeah, I mean, we got there and it was like, whoa. Like, it was just the factor of like seeing everything and taking everything in, because there was just so many people. I mean, it was packed, and we were trying to find ways to kill time, just because we did get there like super early, because I really dislike having to walk super far after sitting in a venue for like 3 hours. Like, if you go to a football game and you have to park all the way in the back of the parking lot, that's brutal. I didn't want to do that, so we got really good parking right across from the stadium. Probably really overpriced, but we had all planned out a budget, and we split things accordingly. So like, we split the hotel costs, we split the food, we split the tickets, we split whatever we got from concessions, like beer and stuff like that. So it really helps to like have friends with you whenever you're going to a sporting event, because it just makes it a lot better. It's something that you should experience with people that you really care about, and people that you like to be around, rather than by yourself, because when you have those people there with you, it just makes the experience so much better. But yeah, so getting closer to kickoff. I'm sorry. We're like, right now the Euros is going on, so I'm like so into soccer right now. But tip off is what I meant to say. Getting closer to tip off, we went to go find our seats, and then as like a stereotypical fan who buys nosebleeds, you're gonna want to look for better seats around the arena. And you can say that you haven't done it. You have. You buy these nosebleed seats, and then you go to them and you're like, whoa, this is like super high up, like almost as if you can't tell who the players are at the bottom. But the way that American Airlines Center is like structured, it's very like it's not the biggest arena, but the way it's structured is like the seats, they almost feel like instead of going outwards, they go like up. So it's like even if you're in the nosebleeds, I feel like we still had a very good spot to see the game. But yeah, we saw our seats, and then we were like, man, let's take a little scout around, see if we can find anything better. Hopefully, no one sits there. Um, we literally could not. I mean, there was so many people there, and at tip off, like the atmosphere was absolutely electric. I mean, it was a great game for the Clippers because they started off like shooting insanely good from the 3 pointer. Like they were shooting at one point 87% from three, um, and they were just raining it down. And at one point, the Mavericks were down by 30, and I was like, man, this is the first Mavericks game I go to, and we lose. And I was like, man, that's a bummer because we were in Dallas. But the they inched closer, and then in the second half, Kyrie had hit back-to-back threes, and they were like slowly chipping at that lead that the Clippers had, and the crowd just like popped off. Like they were super loud. It was the most electric atmosphere that I've ever been in any sporting event. Um, and it was like he hit one shot and everyone was screaming. They get the possession back. He pulls up for another one, and then it was just like bang, and then everyone was like instantly on their feet and like screaming at the top of their lungs. It was insane. And I'll never forget the face that my friend made because he could kind of tell like that the Mavericks were starting to make a comeback, but he wasn't really worried because at the time it was still like a 10-point deficit. Um, but he was starting to look a little scared. But yeah, that game was super good. I mean, I had never been in a playoff game before, so that being my first one was absolutely incredible. I mean, I would love to go to a Spurs game, and I would love to see them in a playoff game. We haven't made the playoffs in a couple years now. We're definitely in our rebuilding years, which is unfortunate as a fan because you never want to see like your team go from like the top of their game and have the best players and then just kind of have this like drop off where you're in a losing streak, and then like there's people talking about how your organization is trash and stuff like that. So it's never a good feeling when you're realizing that your organization is kind of tanking. But one good thing that paid off from that tanking was that we were able to get Victor Wembanyama, which I'll probably cover in another episode. But I really just wanted to talk about the experience that I had going to Dallas and seeing that game, and it was very like refreshing like as a fan because you see it on TV, at least myself, you see it on TV all the time, all the broadcasts, all the fans that are there, and like just how much enthusiasm they have on both sides of the ball, like whether it's the home team or the away team. The fans always make the trip, and I had never made the trip, so to finally be able to do that and like have the conditions right to do so, it was incredible because it's something that a lot of people don't often get to do. They don't really have the luxury to do. But if you want to become a fan and you want to start supporting an organization, start watching on TV. It's the easiest way to get into it is watching on TV. Games are long, so you're gonna want to like take your eyes off, and you don't have to watch every single game, but just start inch by inch, and then the atmosphere through the TV and how exciting that is definitely the same in person. I mean, maybe I won't say the same because the atmosphere in person is nowhere near like how loud it gets on your TV, even if you put it at like full blast, it gets really loud in arenas. And here at formerly the AT&T Center, it's now the Frost Bank Center. The Spurs are looking to make this second season with Victor Wembanyama a good one. We did pick up some good assets. We got CP, who is Chris Paul, for those of you who don't know, Point God is his nickname. He's been in the league a while now. He's definitely a veteran. He's seasoned, but one of CP's key traits is his playmaking. So he's definitely going to be able to kind of elevate Wembanyama's second year as far as like giving him the right baskets to get him in those scoring positions and just helping him grow, because he's only, I believe he just turned 20, or he might still be 19. It's actually insane what that guy is doing. But yeah, I mean, if you're here in San Antonio and you have the time, the tickets for Spurs games in the regular season aren't like expensive. You should definitely try to go to one, because even if you don't like support the Spurs, or you don't support a fan base, it's okay. It's something to do like on a weekday, it's something to do on a weekend, it's something to do with friends, and it's something that's exciting to do, it's better than like just staying at home and watching from your TV. So I would definitely recommend trying to go to a couple Spurs games, because like the thrill of being at the game is second to none. I mean, it's so fun. It's like exciting, and then at points it's like heartbreaking, and then at other points you get so frustrated, and it's just a roller coaster of emotions. And it's something that is so beautiful about being a fan, because you get put into that kind of washing machine of emotions over and over and over again throughout the season, like as the season progresses. And it's something that you can't replicate. It's something that you can't like feel, at least in my eyes, in any other thing like that amount of times. So if you can, definitely go to a Spurs game. If you can, make that leap, take the trip, plan accordingly. So yeah, I would definitely try to get out there and go to a game, because it's something that you're gonna want to do again and again and again, because you can't just go to one game. You're gonna go to one game and you're gonna walk out and you're gonna be like, whoa. And that feeling, especially with friends, something that you are gonna like learn to be addicted to. And that's kind of how I started to become a fan, was watching with friends, talking about sports with friends. And once you finally take that leap and then just try to go to a game, it's just gonna elevate you wanting to be a fan even more. So that's gonna conclude this episode, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry that I was feeling under the weather. I'm sorry that I sound the way I do. But I'm your host, Alejandro Garcia, and I'm signing off for the second episode of Banners and Titles. Y'all have a good day.